Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome. Let me get microphones situated here. Give me a confirmation in the chat if you can hear me, if we got good audio, if we got good visuals. And hit like on the stream. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're watching and you're not a subscriber. I think, by the way, if you want to use the live chat, you have to be a subscriber to the channel. Not like a paid, there's no paid subscribe. It's just, you know, if you're a free subscriber, you get to do the live chat. I think that's how it is set up on this channel. Okay, good. Everybody is saying let's go. So here's what we're gonna do. I like to do these live streams to deep dive certain areas of Etch. I let people vote in the Etch community this time, and I said, what would you like to see? And the kind of recurring theme was, I wanna see like the whole workflow. I wanna see like an example build, right? So before we start, I think it's very, very important to understand there is not, so this is the caveat, and we can point everybody back to this because you know, you have the people who see me do something in Etch and they're like, I can't do that. I mean, I can't do that. This has gotta be easier. This is too hard. This is too complicated. That's just my workflow. There's more than one workflow in Etch, okay? So for example, let me go to, let me screen share what we're gonna be building first of all. That would probably help, right? Let me go ahead and share this. Okay, good. So this is what we're gonna work on building. Let me move over the screen that you can't even see. And I'm gonna kind of go through this the way that I would if it were a real project. We obviously are not gonna get in 90 minutes from scratch every single detail accounted for, okay? But we're gonna see how much bulk work we can get done. And when I show this, I'm gonna show this a specific way. I'm gonna show this using my workflow. We definitely cannot teach. This is not a teaching event because if we stop to teach everything, we're not gonna build the landing page. It's not gonna get done, right? So I'm gonna talk through what I'm doing as I work, and you're gonna get to see the workflow, right? And you're gonna see the same patterns repeat over and over and over again. But again, the caveat here is this is not the Etch workflow. This is an Etch workflow. This is Kevin's Etch workflow. This is a proposed from scratch workflow. Do you have to build everything from scratch in Etch? No. So when you see me do it today from scratch, that is not what you have to do in Etch. These caveats are very, very important. We have to make sure everybody is on the same page because you can get the wrong impression from watching something that that's the only way to do it. Or that's the, wow, that's really hard. Kevin, I wouldn't build every website from scratch. That's just ludicrous. Yeah, okay, exactly, right? So what's another workflow? Well, another workflow is that you can use a unstyled template library like frames. And this hero section might be a frame and you pop it in. And this section might be a frame and you pop it in. And this section might be a frame and you pop it in. And that's doing a lot of work for you. That is a workflow in Etch. It's not what you're gonna see today, but it is a workflow in Etch. Today, you're gonna see me use automatic CSS the way I would use it in a build, in a workflow. That doesn't mean, well, I mean, look at this, Kevin. You got this, Etch is required to use ACS. No, stop, what, man, the inability for some people to critically think is, it's wild. It's wild, right? Just because I'm using automatic CSS as my workflow doesn't mean it's required to use Etch, right? What is another, you could literally find this in HTML and paste it in and then do the CSS for it. That's another workflow that you might choose to do. You'll also see me, let me go into here. Let's launch Etch, okay? The interface itself is very important to understand. So when you're seeing me do this work, we have a styling panel, right? If I were to add a selector, I can use this styling panel over here to style that selector. You are not going to see me do that. You're gonna see me come down here, right? This is where I can control all of my panels, and I'm gonna go off, right? And you're gonna see me have HTML and CSS. I usually don't have the JavaScript editor open when I work. I only open that when I need it. You're gonna see HTML code down here. You're gonna see me write a bunch of CSS. Does that mean that that is the only way to do work in Etch? No, that's just how I work in Etch. That's how a lot of people work in Etch, but it's not the required workflow. You can, and I've explained this before, and I feel the need to explain it every single live stream because of the severe deficit of critical thinking that exists in the world, right? They can't just see something and realize, oh, that's not the only way to do it. Okay, so you can do this. You can turn on the style inputs, turn off the CSS, turn off the HTML. Looks like damn near any other page builder at this point, and you can 1000% work just like this. You do not need to do the HTML thing. You do not need to do the CSS thing. You can just work like this. Is that how I choose to work? No. There are many workflows in Etch. You might see, man, I really prefer to have my structure panel on the left. I don't really want to use an interface where it's on the right. That's not, it's just not my style. Okay, right. This is a modular interface. Do with it whatever you would like, right? So again, you see something, don't assume, it's like that. That's the only way to do it, right? It's not the only way to do it. I prefer my structure on the right. I prefer not having the styling panel. I prefer HTML and CSS. Why do I prefer this? Well, I think it's superior. I think this is the best way to do it. I think this is the most efficient way to do it. If you know what you're doing down here, it gives you the most flexibility. It gives you the most power. It gives you the most access to what you are doing. But again, that's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Etch, you can tailor to your workflow, to your preferences, to your skills and abilities. It's flexible. It's flexible. Okay, so we get that out of the way. We get that out of the way. What you're watching today, because what you're watching today may seem tedious. Building things from scratch in web development is more tedious than copying and pasting things. That is, nobody's arguing against that, right? What I am showing you though is a workflow of from scratch so you can see the whole thing. Because if I just copy and paste things in, it's not, that's kind of, one, it's kind of boring. Two, you don't really learn anything. And three, if you're gonna work in this industry, you kind of really should be able to look at something and build it, right, from scratch. Like that should be an ability in your toolbox. And so that's what we're gonna be looking at today, okay? So with all of that said and out of the way, let's check on the chat before we work here. We should have a convo about this concept. Did all of you write CSS pre-etch? Or are you starting now? That's a good question from Mark there. We should do some different polls, and I really would like some insights into where people are at, okay? Now, I will say that I have not set up anything related to automatic CSS for this specific project or in Etch. This is a completely blank slate. Anything that I would need to do, you are going to watch me do in real time. This is all I did was fire up essentially a blueprint site. And we've talked about blueprint sites before. It's just a site where you have all your plugins pre-installed for you. You have a base settings, for your framework that you like to start from. Automatic CSS is a framework that is unique in the sense that you literally don't have to set it up before you do a project. You could build an entire project and then make the tweaks and adjustments. If you use the framework properly, you can actually set it up at any time. So you're gonna notice that I don't really have a need to go through all of these panels and do a bunch of settings related to what I'm looking at on this screen right here. I can just build it using the things that I put the right things in the right places, right? And then you could tweak it later. So it is unique in that instance because of how it's designed and engineered. So that's it. Let's just start building something. You will see patterns repeat. You will see that I follow a kind of a mental framework of static first, dynamic later. So you won't see any like componenting or looping or any of that in the early stages of this. I do what's called like scaffolding. Let's get the scaffolding in place. Let's get a lot of the bigger picture stuff in place. And then let's come back on another sweep and do more detail. And then we get around to making it dynamic eventually, right? But this very much is what I propose when you're working from scratch of get the most amount of work done. And as long as you're doing it in a scalable, maintainable fashion, you're going to pick up where you left off later in any different piece or part. A lot of people might look at a page like this and go, well, I mean, the header's clearly first. We've got to do that. That's what we got to do. Why? That header's going to take a while. You got, I mean, it's fairly simple, but you got a navigation you got to deal with. There's accessibility related with that. It's a component. It's going to have to be done in templates. Why? Well, you don't need to just start with the static page. I can get a lot of this done. The header can be added at any time. It's added to a template. It's going to show up wherever I want to show up. I can do it whenever I want. Same with the footer. Do that whenever you want. It's not even a super useful part of the website right now. Like, let's get the meat of the website done. Let's get the bulk of this page accounted for. Then we'll go back and add some other stuff, okay? All right, so, and this is not a real site, so I can't inspect it. I have no Figma file for it. It's literally what we see. We just gotta do what we see, okay? To the best of our ability. So I'm gonna start with this hero right here. I'm not gonna build this card because I think this is dumb. I think there's already a lot going on here. I think putting a semi-transparent blurry card in here that doesn't even really look all that good is not, so I'm gonna do everything but that dumb overlay card because I don't like it. Like if a designer gave that to me, I'd be like, yeah, I like all this, I don't like that. Like, let's reject that part. And you know, what are we doing here? We got a call to action, stats. What are we doing here? This is an overload, okay? Let's just simplify it a little bit, get rid of this card. So here's what we're gonna do. Actually, scaffolding wise, I'm gonna count the sections. 1, and I'm gonna name them, so I'm gonna organize them. So we're gonna call this hero, main hero right here. This is going to be, you could call this customers, you could call this partners. I don't really know what it is. Maybe it's partners, seems like partner. Let's call it partners. Okay, so I got a main hero, I got partners, that's 2. Down here, these look like features, okay? We're gonna call this features, that's 3. Come down here, trusted service. The copy's awful, okay? We're just gonna rock with what we have. These are their services, I guess. We got some auto counting cards that need to be put in. That's 4 services. Here we go. Testimonials, 5. You can call that testimonials or social proof. We'll call it testimonials. That's 5. That's a footer, doesn't count. That's a header, doesn't count. I need 5 sections, okay? So I'm gonna come into Etch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my 5 sections. I'm gonna call this one main hero. I'm gonna call this one partners, right? I'm gonna call this one features. I'm gonna call this one testimonials. I'm scaffolding. I'm getting the bulk, the most done that I can possibly do in the widest area. After testimonials was, what was it? No, it was services then testimonials. So we're gonna go services and we're gonna go testimonials, okay? So now you can ask questions as we go through this. I don't know when I'm gonna pause, and I like to get into a groove and just go. I might take a couple breaks, might answer some questions. I will definitely answer them at the end, but they have to be #Q. Okay, so I've got my scaffolding done here. I'm gonna take a peek at this and I'm gonna use a real image for this background image. And I am going to use something like just like an inner wrapper here. And that's gonna give me the ability to put a little bit of padding on that section and bring this in so that it's kind of a boxed style. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna just add a flex div here. Those are 100% wide, right? And I'm gonna call that inner, and I'm gonna move that up. And then I'm just gonna drop the container inside of the inner. Everything is gonna go into the inner, essentially. This is gonna be the content wrapper. And inside of my content wrapper, I'm gonna have, this is gonna be the real heading right here. This is like what I call an SEO heading. This will be a paragraph that looks like a heading. So it's gonna be heading, text, and then we need a group for link, okay? So heading, text, group, heading, text, and then a group would be a flex div, and that's gonna be our link group. And then I'm gonna go link. So that's gonna put in 2 CTAs. I'm gonna say CTA, and I'm gonna be CTA. I'm just not gonna put button classes on them, okay? That's good, link group. I'm gonna call this lead. I just wanna do a little organization. That's gonna be our heading. This is a hero, so we're gonna make it an H1. We have a content wrapper. That's gonna be fantastic. Now, I'm gonna look at this again and see I need these stat cards. These stat cards are gonna be in a wrapper, and we got some inverted radius here. The designer already hates us, okay? So, no, it's okay. It's all right. You're allowed to use inverted radius. With automatic CSS, hopefully we're able to handle this inverted radius situation like a hot knife through butter, okay? We'll see if it works. You know, that'll be fantastic if it does. If it doesn't, that's gonna be not fantastic. But what I'm looking at here is stat cards. I'm gonna call them like stat cards. But to me, because of this inverted radius situation, and the inverted radius can really go on the list. The stat cards are kind of independent, though I'll BEM those. I'll BEM those separately from the hero. But this list belongs to this hero, guys. This is not its own thing, because it can't do this anywhere else. It's got to do this in this hero. So I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna name this, okay? So we're gonna come in, I got my inner with my content wrapper, I'm gonna put a flex div in here. This is gonna be my stat list, but I'm gonna auto-BEM that as part of this hero. So right now I'm auto-BEMing this inner, this content, the link group, all that stuff, this stat list, and I don't wanna auto-BEM the stat card. So I feel like right now, I'm gonna right click, yeah, okay, allow, sure. I'm gonna right click, create BEM classes, and it's gonna auto BEM all of this stuff. And now that that's auto BEMmed, I'm gonna come into this stat list and I'm gonna make a stat card. So we're gonna say this is gonna be a stat card. If you watched my video the other day, you do structure first, then you do semantics, then you worry about selectors, then you worry about styling. This is all structure right now. This is all structure, okay? Inside of my stat card, I'm gonna have a heading and text. I did them backwards because I'm dyslexic. They actually should be H2s because this is a hero. It's got an H1, it has no other H2s. These are gonna be H2s. They're not gonna look like H2s necessarily, but they're gonna be H2s. That's the semantics of it. I'm gonna make that an article, and I'm going to right click and convert this to a list. So we have a stat list with a list item and a stat card inside of it. So this stat list is part of the main hero, right? Then we have this list item, and then we have this stat card, which we are going to auto BEM on its own. So this stat card can exist anywhere. Stat card, heading, stat card, text. That should actually be description, and we can double click this and rename this to description as well. Okay, let's go ahead and hit save. Save our progress. Now what I'm gonna do, in our inner, I'm gonna toss in an image. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna call this BG image. And then I'm also gonna toss in maybe I'm gonna do the overlay a little bit. I'm gonna sneak in an overlay on you. So let's call this main hero BG image. Bang, just like that. I just realized I don't have any images. Let's go to unsplash.com. Let's go energy, okay? There we go. Look at this. Fantastic. We're on the map. Let's just grab this. I don't really care. Swoosh, pull this in, boom, and let's resize and go to 1920, something like that. Let's grab a WebP. Let's go out and let's go back in. Fantastic. There we go. Let's bring this in. Grab that. Dia likes to open them in preview when you try to pull them out like that. I really dislike it. There we go right there. Okay. First thing I know, I'm gonna absolutely position this. So now I'm gonna go right into like, we're gonna do some styling now. I gotta start making sense of this in my brain to see if it's all coming together properly. So this main inner, we're gonna position relative. That's gonna catch this background image that we're gonna position absolute. And then we're gonna go inset of 0, width of 100%, width of 100%, height of 100%. Fantastic. This section has this main hero, right? How about we go padding of space XS? Like, I'm gonna eyeball this now. Maybe it's S. Boom, S. Close enough for government work, right? All right, here we go. We're gonna do a border radius of radius on this. Not on the main hero, not on the main hero. That's not where we want it. We're gonna go back to the inner. All right, and then we're gonna go border radius of radius. I'm almost 1000% positive that we're gonna have to overflow clip this, okay? Now I'm seeing my border radius. It's kind of a small radius. We'll fix that in a minute. My background image is warped. I'm gonna object fit cover that, no problem, okay? That's looking really, really nice. I'm gonna take this inner, and this is where I'm gonna add my section padding. And in automatic CSS, there's nothing to really think about here. It's literally just plugging variables in, right? So now I'm gonna go L, XL, because I want a lot, this is a fairly large hero, right? So I'm bringing that in. Let's see if we can sneak our overlay in. If you go border image, fill 1, and then some sort of, it has to be a linear gradient. We can go to right. They're gonna be the same color, right? Red, red. Let's just check this, if I can get this down. Border image, fill 1, oh, you know what? We need to go BG image, Z index of -1, put that in the background. There we go. So this little trick that I like to use this a lot, because you don't need another element for it. You don't need a pseudo element for it. All you need is this little border image fill 1 linear gradient. Now I'm free to make these color, I don't want to be in all caps, color mix. And we're gonna go var base ultra dark. And then we're gonna go color mix var base ultra dark. We're gonna need an in lab. Let me move this cursor over. I'm writing both of these at the same time. In OKLCH var base ultra dark. And that's gonna be like 80%. And then we want transparent, boom, okay? That's a little bit more complicated because I was doing multi-cursor editing. I was like writing in 2 different places at one time. But now I've got this like overlay situation, and I can take this 80% multi-cursor, 70%, 60, 50, whatever I want to do with this color mix is really flexible, okay? Now what I want to do is probably come in here and say color text light. Okay, that's gonna turn almost all of that text white for me. That's looking good. In this content wrapper right here, let's display this as flex. Let's flex, I just hit puberty there for a second. Flex column and then gap of content gap. Okay, perfect, I like that. What are we saying here? New energy for the future. New energy for the future. What are we saying in our description? Oh, we don't have it. Oh, that's right. Hold on. We're wrong. This is #1 energy provider in the world. Terrible SEO headline. #1. I'll just say #1 energy company. Never say that. That's just really bad. That's really bad copy. New energy for the future actually goes here. New energy for the future, and I can literally go, hey, that's supposed to look like an H1. Okay, and then this is going to be font size of text S and font weight of 400. And I don't think they did any other shenanigans to it. They kind of just left it like that. Yeah, whatever, okay. Let's do this group, this link group real quick. All right, display this as flex direction of row. Let's go a gap of like 0.5 em and let's go link color white. Okay, there we go. And then I'm gonna actually pop open automatic CSS. We're gonna go to buttons and links, links, styles. I'm gonna go decoration of underline, decoration, underline offset, 0.25. Let's just save that and see what it does. Okay, I think we're all right there. Okay, so let's go save that. Let's go to the front end. Okay, we're getting to where we want to go. Let's get this thing under control. So we've got this stat list. Stat list. How do we want to position this? How do we want to position? I think we're going to go absolute on this as well. And we're going to go inset block end of 0, inset inline end of 0. And we're gonna go with a max inline size of 50%. Because I think that's like, I mean, if it's not the center, if that's not, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. Okay, Let's go padding of space M. That looks good. Let's go background of white. Let's go color, stat card, color of text dark. Okay, this is one stat. What are we doing here? What are we doing? 6 mil companies. Oh, this copy is awful. Okay, the company's annual revenue. Okay, perfect. Let's go dupe this. I need to be able to see this layout. And we're gonna go display of grid and grid template columns of grid 3. And what are we even doing here? Oh, columns, helps when you spell correctly. Okay, this is going to get gap of card gap. I like that. This is gonna get font weight of 400. You see it's so easy to write CSS because anytime I click on something, the CSS is like instantly accessible. There's no panels to search through. There's no, the amount of clicks that we've just slashed from the workflow is tremendous. Okay, this is gonna be border top left radius, and that is going to be radius, just like that. Now we're gonna have to deal with, okay, I wanna take the gap out too. Let's do a gap of 0. Now do these cards have any padding? These cards don't have any padding. We need the gap back. We need the gap. Let's not gap 0 that. We need the gap. Okay. We're gonna have to deal with this border radius at some point here, okay? What are we doing on this inner, by the way? We got a padding block. Let's go padding inline of gutter, okay? Gutter, there you go, perfect. Let's take this and let's go max inline size of 50%. And damn, didn't want that to happen. That centered that, okay. Inner. What is our inner doing? Display, aren't we display flex on here? Display flex direction of column, align items, flex, start, justify content. I never know which one it is. You just do both of them. Okay, it's neither of them. That's not making a difference then. Okay, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe we'll come back to that. We'll come back to figure out how I want to, I don't want it spilling all the way over here. I don't want content coming all the way over here. So it's just an alignment issue, but I don't feel like investigating right now. I'm in scaffolding mode, not investigation mode. Okay, this is gonna be overflow clip. Should be clipping that overflow. Let's go, I don't think, yeah, hidden's not gonna make any difference there. We'll figure that out in a second as well. Oh, you know what? That's gonna be the downside of the border image property, is it's not gonna respect overflow. Look, when I take that away, my overflow clip works, and when I add it back, it doesn't. That's unfortunate. Okay, let's go to our image and let's add a flex div and let's call this overlay. And let's go main hero overlay, and then all we have to do here, position this absolute, inset of 0, background of red, there you go, and then just color mix it, bang. And actually I can auto color mix with Etch, right? So if you take one of your base colors, like base, ultra, dark, trans, give it a trans and then a number like 80, it'll auto color mix for you. And then we need a Z index of -1 and voila, we're back in action, okay? And we have our overflow. Now our radius is not nearly aggressive enough. I'm looking at a very aggressive radius. I'm looking at very aggressive radius here, aggressive radius here, aggressive radius here. These are all very consistent. This is the whole point of like automatic CSS, why it's engineered the way that it is. Notice I was using radius. Well, what is the radius? I don't care what the radius is, because at any time I go to borders, dividers, borders, and go to border radius and go 15 pixels. And now look, they're all 15 pixels. I go 20, whatever I want it to be. What do we like? 25, 30? Let's go 30. Let's save that. Okay, good. So now we're gonna undo that, get out of there. Okay. Let's tackle this inverted radius situation. Now, I've got to, and I didn't sleep well last night. My brain's already it's not 100% right now. I've got to remember, I can check the docs, but I'm being that guy right now. Let's not check that. We don't need to check that. Who needs the docs? Who needs the doc? Just think about it for a second, okay? It's done with data attributes. Data inverted radius 1 position, okay? Now, this is gonna be like, what is going on right now? This is just using a framework. That's all it is. I'm using a framework to help with an insanely complicated scenario of inverted radiuses. Inverted radius, if you do it from scratch, will make you, if you're still alive by the end of it, if you haven't jumped out of your 3rd story office window, I congratulate. It's terrible. Nobody likes this, but this makes it, should make it very easy. What I'm trying to do is position a box right here, and then I'm gonna slice the bottom right corner off of it, okay? That's how this framework works. So data inverted radius 1 position, remember it's inside of this white box. It's gonna go bottom left outside. Bottom left outside. At least that's what I'm thinking, okay? Then I'm gonna go data inverted radius 1 slice, which is the bottom right corner of that box. You have to be able to visualize these things, okay? And there we go. And that is fucked. It's okay. Don't worry about it. We're gonna be able to fix it in just a second. Okay, bottom left outside. That seems like it should be. It's close. It's close. It's not as bad as it looks. Okay. All right, we're gonna get it going on the other one. So data inverted radius 2 position equals. I'm gonna try to nail one of these just with visualization, not have to tweak it. We got one more shot at it. Data inverted radius 2 position is gonna be top, outside, right. Top, outside, right. Top, outside, right. If we have to check the docs, we'll check the docs, okay? Data inverted radius 2 slice equals. That would also be bottom right. Oh, I got one. Okay, I eyeballed one. Okay, so that was top, outside, right, and I got bottom. This isn't bottom, outside, left. It can't be bottom, outside, left. Yeah, that's not right either. Bottom, right, outside. Should have done it. Bottom, right, outside. Oh, slice. I said border right. That doesn't work. Bottom right. Okay. Inverted radius 1 slice, bottom. That is the bottom. The bottom right should be slicing. Okay. Bottom, outside, right. Oh, no, left. Dude, the dyslexia is bottom, left, outside. Save. There. Finally. My gosh. Okay. Did you just see, you guys get to see, it's not enjoyable to have dyslexia. It might be enjoyable to watch it. When clearly I need to go left and I'm like, right, yeah. Not good. Okay, let's save. But I just took like a disaster scenario of inverted radius, and I mean, we kind of made pretty quick work of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like max inline size 50. Well, first of all, this is too wide. So we're gonna go layout, website dimensions. Let's go 1280. Okay, we're just bringing in the content width of the website a little bit. I think it's a little bit too wide looking. And then this is gonna have to be, instead of 50%, maybe, I don't wanna do a percentage here, actually. Let's do 40, 60, 70, 60. Let's do 60 characters, something more fixed widthy, right? Okay, good. Oh, that looks much better. That looks more balanced now. Okay, let's move on. We're scaffolding quickly. We're trying to get this done quickly, okay? Let's go H1P. This is semantics all good here. Semantics are all good here, okay? 0.75M, those are looking a little close together. All right, let's go down. So now we need, I don't even like that section this much. I'll do it in a minute. I want to do something more inspiring to my creativity. Let's do this right here. So I need an intro, a section intro, and I need this grid situation going on here. Okay, let's get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of some tabs. Okay, We need to be, here's the stat list, BG image, here's partners, here's features. We want to live in features right here, okay? I'm going to call this feature section. Let's call this section intro. Let's drop a heading in there. Let's duplicate this and let's call this feature list. Features list, okay? We don't need a heading in there. Let's do a card. So we're gonna go feature card, all right? Maybe feature list. Maybe we shouldn't do, let's just keep it singular, okay? Feature card, we're gonna make that an article. What do we need in this card? Heading, icon, text. Heading always comes first. Heading, icon, text. Text, there we go. So this is gonna be the heading, that's fine. We're gonna call that the icon. We're gonna call that description. We're gonna take the icon, it's gonna stay here, but we're gonna move it with CSS. You can actually probably just put the icon all the way at the bottom. Right click, create BEM classes. Right click, convert to list. Okay, that's really good there, like that. All right, feature card, that's fantastic. This is just gonna be called feature list. Well, fuck that up, didn't I? List, easy to fix, no problem. Let's go with, padding 0, margin 0. We gotta list style of none. It's not really a list, okay? Let's duplicate some list items. Okay, that's good enough for now. Feature list. Display this as a grid template columns of grid 3, good. Feature list. Display, what did I spell wrong? Dude, I'm leaving the S off that every single time. I have one too many list items. Don't need that. Okay. So this is gonna be called what? Here we go. With the garbage copy. All right. And I think, with these cards looking very similar, this card could have maybe got away with that card, but this card, they're so similar. We go card framework on these. So I need feature card. What's the other one? We're gonna have a service card in a minute, okay? But let's start with feature card. So we're gonna open ACSS. We're gonna go straight to the card framework. And the way we do card framework is with manual targeting, right? So if I just say feature card is gonna be one of the ones that we target. As soon as that snaps into action, bang, all right? We should have, essentially, see this base level of, look at that. This is just what it does by default, which is honestly very close to what they've got going on here, some slight tweaks. So this is gonna be very helpful. Let's take this icon and let's order of -1. So that's gonna bring that to the top immediately. Let's go margin block end of 1em, bump it down. I notice we've got a little bit of extra space there. I'm not gonna do this box style on the icon because I think it's ugly. Like this drop shadow on a white background on white, not really the play in my opinion, okay? That should be fine right there. What are we doing with the size of these? A little bit smaller, right? Inline size of 30 pixels, 40, I don't know. I don't spend my life measuring. I don't know about you, but eyeball it. Who's gonna know? Nobody's gonna know. This is gonna be color of text dark muted, there we go. And then we're good. Okay, so let's go ahead and duplicate this a couple more times. So we've got this list item. Okay, we got 6 of them now. I know for sure I don't need a gap. Well, I do need a gap, but not quite yet, okay? All right, so these cards, because they're using the card framework, are going to have a border on them, right? But I can remove the border. The card framework's adding something, but it adds it with no specificity, which means I can always just take it away. And in this case, I really don't need it because I need some of the card framework, just not all of it, right? Because these don't actually have a radius. So I'm gonna go border radius also and go 0. You could also 0 out the card radius variable that it uses, but there's a lot of ways to do different things. Okay, so what we're gonna do here, grab that feature list. I am thinking we put a background on this of border color dark, which is gonna seem odd. we're gonna go gap of hold on, border, what are there's variables for these things. Border, I think it's just border width. There we go, okay? Because we have a global border radius or border system in automatic CSS, we can reference the things at any time. And then I'm just gonna go border of border on the list and I get my border. And then we go border radius of radius to radius it. And then we're probably gonna need an overflow of clip. And now we're gonna have to look at this on the front end. That's very close. If we go, okay, I think I know what's going on here. Article, we actually should feature card, radius of 0 on this card. Border radius, okay, I don't wanna fuck with it right now. We're gonna go border. I'll import in it if I have to for right now, if it's not gonna behave, okay? Let's just go check it on the front end. There we go. Okay, we're getting very close to what we want. Now what I'm gonna do is just go, this is where this is all coming from. This borders area where I have I can go 1.5 pixel here for the border width. I'm gonna make sure we need to make sure the cards have no border. These are essentially gonna be fake borders that come from the gap. That's what I'm attempting to do here. This can be much more dialed down, maybe 10%, maybe 7%, maybe even, why don't we do this? You can always just come in here, grab a little swatch. Can I even get that correctly? Let's just throw that in. Maybe that'll work. EBBBBBB. I don't know. The beauty of this is that it can all be changed later. See, I can just put EBBBB in there and it's gonna work just fine. Okay, good. I think I've still got a border. Let's go border none important on here. That'll all just get fixed later. I'm just trying to move quickly, just move on with our life. Okay, this is looking really good. What do we need like a base ultra light or like I would call that like BG ultra light, okay, on that section, which we haven't even put in our colors yet, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we can do them at any time. Look at this. Okay, we're getting close. This is gonna be a section intro. A lot of stuff going on when you're scaffolding. You're just checking lots of boxes. You're not checking every box. You're just checking lots of different boxes. Let's go align items to center, text align to center, justify content to center. I'm gonna take all of that. Bang, I'm going to drop a contain. Let's drop a container. Let's drop a has-me. Actually, you know what? For right now, let's keep it simple. Because you can always change these later, right? Let's go greater or equal to, and let's just choose a number. Random number, I don't care what it is because I can fix it later. This is gonna be a component eventually. But right now what that does is essentially makes that like automatically responsive. So it's gonna be left, then center, okay? All right, I can move on with my life. But that's a reminder to me to come back when I actually build this component for the section intro. You know, some responsiveness needs to happen here, whether it's gonna be a media query or a container query, that can all be decided later. But this is like we don't wanna just center this everywhere. We want this to be intelligent. Okay, I'm gonna refresh the builder because some of the ACSS stuff that's going on here, yeah, needs to snap into action. Okay, where are we at now? So we essentially did, let's get rid of that. Nope, not that, okay, there it is. All right. I'm not doing all the content, I'm not doing all that stuff. Okay, we got an icon card, that's what we wanted. Let's move down here. Services. Okay, so we're gonna do a 2-column layout. We got a group and a group, and then an image. Okay, so let's scaffold this section out. Here we are with services. We've got our container right here. We're gonna go with grid. We could go like auto 2, whatever we wanna do here. Flex div, over here on this side. And that's just, I'm gonna probably come back and do this all with BEM. But for now, it gives me a visual. And I can always replace this class with a BEM instruction, right? There's no like I think a lot of people think every decision you make has to be like perfect in the moment, when you could literally just keep going, just keep moving forwards. As long as you come back and do some cleanup, right? You can get a lot of work done in a short amount of time. That's what you would call a sprint. Like, let's just sprint some work done and come back later, right? Okay, so we've got, this is gonna be the inner. I'm gonna call that the inner on here. This is gonna be the content wrapper. This is gonna be the media wrapper, which I can nice and flexibly just change to a figure right here. Let's drop an image in. What image? Can be the same one. You can use the same one over and over again. We don't really care. Okay, over here, we're gonna know we need a group, okay? That's gonna be a heading group, we'll call it. Let's drop a flex div in here. This is gonna be the heading group. And then we have let's get rid of that tab. I am the worst at like choosing the wrong tab. This is gonna be a services list or service list. Service list with service cards. Service list, service cards. So I have a heading group, which contains a heading and a button, a link, right? It's gonna look like a button, but it's a link. And then inside of my content wrapper, I also have my service list. So this will be my service list. Inside of my service list is going to be a service card. And inside of my service card is gonna be a heading text. That's gonna be called description. Do you guys see the repeating pattern over and over and over again of how we're scaffolding this stuff out and how we're BEMing stuff and how it's being BEMmed? In this case, this service list is a standalone component. This service card is gonna be an article, right click, convert to list. And I want to service list this and then take that card and BEM it, create BEM, so it's heading and description. This can literally live anywhere, okay? We've got our list item. Let's go 2, 3, 4, service list. That's going to be display of grid template, columns of grid 2, thank you, gap of grid gap. It's gonna be pretty much the same. These service cards, targeting, service card, save. While that's saving, I'm just gonna Yeah, this time consuming, just use AI. That's a fantastic way to get your job replaced by AI as soon as possible. The point, first of all, AI would completely fuck it up. So the idea that you're gonna use AI. Now, if you use a trained model and your model knows to use semantic HTML, to use BEM, to write nested CSS, to do everything I'm doing, then you can make a case. But if you're just gonna say use AI, you're going to produce trash, and your client is going to get trash delivered to them, and you're gonna run a trash agency until it goes out of business because everybody recognizes that you're just doing trash AI work. That's how that's gonna go, okay? I can see the future. All right, so we've got, what are these called? Solar panels for home, solar panels for home. Okay, we just need some example content in here. Font weight 400, bang, we're good, okay? I'm also noticing that we can make some tweaks to these things. Typography, let's go to our light card. Text dark muted. Okay, it's text dark muted that needs to be toned down a little bit. Let's go to color assignments, text, and dark muted. Yeah, this needs to be like 70, 60. We'd have to check, we need to check accessibility, like some contrast ratios, but for now, we'll just tone that down just a little bit. Okay. So we've got a good service list here. Let's go ahead and count these. Let's see if we can get these counters going. Okay, so I need to put a counter reset on this list. Counter reset of services. Counter reset of services. Make sure we don't have any typos. This typos can be a nightmare in this scenario. Service card. We don't want to count the cards because they're in list items. We need to count the list items. We need a has me selector. If anything has me, instead of container type inline size, we're gonna do a counter increment of service. I think that's how we're going to want it to work. If has me Yes, that should work in most scenarios, I think. As long as it's a list, I think it should work. As long as it's a list, I think it should work. Okay, let's go to our service card. And, oh good, we're already on our service card. Okay, that's fantastic. Let's go before. Gonna add a little pseudo element, content. What if our content was 1? There we go. Font size of H3, something like that. I mean, it's like it's pretty big. We could do 0. Wait a minute. Yeah, let's do 0. Well, that's gonna be a situation we gotta figure out in just a second, okay? That's the little, when you want zeros automatically produced, because what happens is when you get to 10, it's gonna say 0, 10, 0, 11. Little complicated, nothing we can't handle, just a little complication, okay? All right, margin block end 1em, bump that down, 0.5em, okay, something like that. That is looking good. Okay, we could just replace this, hopefully, with counter services. Okay, so we definitely have an issue somewhere. Counter increment, oh, sorry, service. There you go. Ah, look, like that. I think you're gonna have to put these in, there you go, there's our 0. Okay. So the benefit of that is, no matter how many times I dupe these things, they just count themselves. That's fantastic. I like that. Really nice. I can also see a problem we've created here. Did this not get a selector? Oh yeah, we never BEM this. Okay. So this is the service section media wrapper. And this is the service section media. And we're gonna say flex 1, object fit cover. That should take care of that just being as big as the content is at all times with the image never breaking. Okay, does that have a border radius on it? It does. Border, radius, bang. No, yeah, no decisions, no. You don't use these tokens. You know what you always have to do? You gotta play this game of like, oh, what was the number again? Oh, let me go measure. Let me go look at a nut. No, we're not playing that game. It's not the game we are playing. How close? Those are less grid gap, more content gap, Okay, let's, what do we wanna do here? I was trying to avoid this, but I think we're gonna have to do it. Okay. We're gonna have to select the first, holy smokes. We're gonna have to use this has situation again. Has me, inth child, and then if you need the first 10. No, the first 9. You need the first 9 cards. I think it's gonna be, that broke it. Hold on. Okay, so, let's say, if it has me and it's the nth child, minus n plus, I don't know if that's correct. We're gonna have to, and then we're gonna add a before pseudo element to it. Let me copy this real quick. And let me do this real quick. Border check it. What did I select? What have I selected? Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Holy smokes. That works, okay? So if we select those, and we're not gonna do it before, we are gonna do it. Okay, no. We're gonna go service card heading before. You need that, we need the heading of the, so in those things, we need the heading. And we're gonna go paste. I love it. Okay, we're good. All right, we're good. So then we're gonna go display flex, margin block end, 0.75em. Okay. This card, service card, has me display. I'm gonna cheat a little bit here too. Display flex, direction of column. and that's gonna make this card expandable with flex 1. That's gonna take this margin block start of auto. Bang, okay? All right, so fantastic. Let's keep going. Grab that, paste in plus 10, plus 11, plus 11. I never get that. Like, I guess in is the 10th one. Yeah, I don't know. I would think that would be 12. Doesn't always make sense to my brain. But we're gonna counter this without a 0. Actually, no. That is, oh, okay, no, that was right. In plus 10. In plus 10. Because I just forgot to take the 0 off. So on the first 9, we're adding the 0 to the counter. On anything after 9, we're just having the counter. And so now it's gonna count perfect. Okay, and that was dumb because we don't even have 10 services, but maybe in the future we do. And somebody that comes along later and adds that 10th service is gonna, do you know the letters they're gonna send me? They're like the thank yous that they're gonna feel. The warm and fuzzies they're gonna have, knowing that somebody had the foresight to take care of that for them, right? And that's not a problem that is now on their plate. Do you understand the CSS karma that I just put out into the world in this project? Can't be discounted. It can't be discounted. It's worth something. I think it's worth something. I think it's worth a lot. I think it's worth a lot. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, it was entertaining for us to do that, you know? I don't know, why am I seeing 4 here and 5 over there? How many do we actually have? Okay. Guess we have 5. Let's save. Always trust the front end, you know? Always. I need that on a shirt. Always trust the front end. Okay, what are we doing with this button? Button primary. Bang. Looks like a button now. Fantastic. What is that supposed to say? What terrible copy did they write for this? Trusted service for your various needs. That's so bad. I can hardly bring myself to write it. It's so bad. Okay, we did that. What else are we supposed to do? Let's come down. Oh, we got a little testimonial section. How are we doing on time? 11, it's 12 o'clock. Okay, I think we could do, I'll give you guys the choice. Do you wanna see, I think I already know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, Kevin, throw in the header and the footer, right? Versus this, I mean, this is just more boxes. That's all this is. More boxes that get named a certain way and styled a certain way. You might wanna just see footer and header. Is that what you want to see? Header and footer? Put it in the chat. Let me know what you want to see. Patrick says you probably won't have 10 cards in this section. That is true, Patrick, but this is a BEM situation. I can use those service cards anywhere. I don't know where they're going to be used. That's the thing, is we have to build and design based on modularity. Modularity is the king in modern web development. And you build in a modular fashion, you don't have to worry about where that card, I made an unbreakable card. That's what I did. My job, make something that doesn't break. So if I pick it up and put it down somewhere else, it still works. It doesn't break. That's my job. Build an unbreakable situation. Okay, they see header footer. Yeah, this section is a slider for sure. That's gonna be even more complex. Now you could scaffold it statically and then make it a slider later for sure, 100%. But yeah. Okay, all right, let's go header footer. So here we are inside, right? And we're just gonna go templates and we're gonna go index. And here we are in the index. I'm gonna go section. So one of these is gonna be header. One of these is gonna be footer. You can drag them into their correct spot. So there's a header first, then your main, then your footer. Semantics. They lose their styling because the styling comes from automatic CSS, automatically styling sections, but these are no longer sections. So what we're gonna do is say inner and inner. We use the same naming conventions over and over and over again, so you don't have to think about how to name things, right? So footer, inner, I can just create BEM on that. I can just create BEM on this. And then immediately I'm gonna go Padding block is whatever you want it to be. I'll say space S. Padding inline on like top level section touching the edge of the screen is always gutter. I can grab that, save, bring that down to the footer, paste. Oh, I clearly did not copy the correct thing. That's okay. We'll just write it again. Padding block of, this one's actually going to be different. Section space M. Padding inline is still gutter. I'm too quick. I'm too quick for the auto wrap. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay, we want this to be BG Ultra Dark. That's automatically going to make the text light. See? You know? Because we think ahead. We think ahead, you know? It's called contextual color relationships. Okay, so what are we going to build here? What are we going to build? Well, we're going to put in, well, thankfully there's no drop downs here. I mean, this is going to be the easiest nav we've ever built in our life. Logo, nav, these should technically be navigations. I'm just saying, these should technically be navigations. Really what we're dealing with here is a logo and a nav. That's really what we're dealing with here, okay? So I'm gonna pop in my logo. Let's go SVG. Let's call that logo. We're just gonna leave the Etch logo for right now. Why not? It's a sponsored stream, okay? All right, and then we're gonna go into our inner. So right after that, I'm gonna go nav, li, nav ul li, and I want 5 of those. Okay, let's get more real estate here. I want them to say nav item. Sure, count them. You know, and then let's just expand it. Whatever. Okay, so nav. Let's call this main nav. Main nav. Can I use a keyboard? It'd be good if I could use a keyboard. I could have BEM these in Emmet, and then these would already be auto labeled. I expanded a little too soon. I'll be honest with you, okay? Let's go list. Let's go list item. Cause now I'm in this Chumpville mode of like having to do this, which I don't like to do. All right. That seems, I also need these to be A's, right? But, you know, you do have multi-cursor select, so all is not lost, you know? All is not lost. Okay, we can wrap those in A's. Those are now links. Fantastic. Link, I definitely could have done this. Definitely could have done this more efficiently. All right, save. We're still alive. It's all right. We're okay. Let's go right-click, create BEM classes. Fantastic. All right. So we want the list. Let's go with display of flex. Yeah, actually, it's already done. Gap of 0.5 m, 1 m. I think 1 m. I think 1 m works. Let's go on the inner, same thing essentially. Display of flex direction of row, gap of content gap, flex wrap of wrap. We want that to be able to wrap if it needs to wrap. Align items to the center, get vertical centering. We're gonna come down to this nav right here. And no, I'm just gonna go to the list item. I'm doing less at the parent these days, more at the element these days. I'm gonna come down and say inth child, inth last child. Can't we do that? Can we do that now? Border 5 pixel solid red. I thought we could do inth last child. Inth last of well, it does help to have. There we go. Inth last of type. What are we dealing with here? A list item. I mean, it's always going to be a list item. I don't think it matters either way. Inth last child 1 and inth last child 2. Those are those links that need to split, right? We only need 2. I think we only need that one. Margin inline start of auto. Should force smart, margin inline start of auto should force that. Oh, I know why. The nav, main nav, there we go. Main nav. Display of, I don't even know that this needs to be flex, but it definitely needs to be a width of 100%. Oh yeah, that's gonna cause a problem too. That's gonna cause a problem too. Actually, main nav, flex one? Flex one will solve that problem without causing the overflow. Main nav list, look at this. Look at what are we? This is just so fantastic. Okay, we're gonna split those out over there. And then list item, I can also, I could style them like a button. This is where you really want your sass. You really want your sass here. I can, we can split this out. We could split this out. We could go here to main nav, list item, inth, last child 2. Actually, it would need to be both of those. You know, why am I doing that? I'm still in page builder mode. Like, I don't fucking have access to the HTML here. I honestly don't even know what I'm doing right now. I'm still in like bricks mode. Like this, like, hey, I can't access the HTML, so I gotta do a bunch of fancy shit. I could just access the HTML. Why don't we just do this? Why don't we just come in here and say main nav CTA. Okay, main nav CT. Well, let's add that this way. Let's go here. Here, where do we want these? Main nav link, main nav list item, main nav CTA item. CTA item. Does that work? Main nav CTA item. It seems like it should work. Main nav CTA item, main nav CTA item. These can both get it. I don't know margin. Let's just do this shortcut. Auto. Yeah, that's going to space those out. First of type. Does that help? Hold on. First of inth of class 1. Is it, can we do this now? Inth of class. It's something, or it's like inth child 1 of fucking the class. I don't know what the syntax for it is. Bottom line, fix it later, okay? All right, so we have a nav. We're gonna go up here. We're gonna put an aria label of main, bang, okay? 'Cause, you know, we're gonna have a footer nav. We're gonna have some other navs. This is the main nav. What else do, I probably should have left the nth child separator. That was getting us further. But what I can also do down, see, the other thing is, we got to get into this conversation of, does the client need to be able to choose which one of these are the buttons? Or, you know, once the client's involved, it's a little bit more of a shit show. Let's go button, what are these? Button primary. Okay. Button primary on that one. Button primary, CTA item. I think this is it because it's a link? It is. We're gonna go here and we're gonna exclude our nav. So buttons and links, external links, rules, exclusions, exclude anything on our header from getting these link defaults. This is a beta version of ACSS 4.0, by the way, but that should work. Okay, we're making progress. This is gonna be align items to the center. And these buttons can also be a button S, okay? Again, we're doing mainly scaffolding here, okay? Okay, good. We do have a little bit of a nav situation going on here. All right, fantastic. I'm gonna switch to the footer for just a second here, but I just want to investigate a little bit. This link color is coming from where? Computed, color, where? Where are you? Ooh, user agent style sheet. That's very interesting. That's very interesting because our button class should be handling that for sure. For sure. Oh, I know why. I know why. Okay, I was moving too quickly. The button primary, button S, those need to be on the link. There we go. And then this one was supposed to get a different style. So this is gonna be button neutral, light probably. It might not even be white yet. We're gonna have to customize it, but also button small. Okay, and then bang, we're rocking and rolling, okay? And we could do the in-child thing to move them over. That's a conversation to have in a minute. Notice now that this is showing up on my homepage. It's gonna show up on every single page. If I wanted to just bump the nav all the way over, right? We could take away the flex 1 that's on there. So this main nav, flex 1, and then we could do a bunch of different things. We could align items to, or justify content to space between. That would be more like a traditional nav alignment situation. But again, this one's like a special nav. It's gonna require some additional time and attention. I wanna make sure we have an Apple event today at 1 p.m. Cannot run into that. I wanna make sure there's time for questions. I'm gonna switch real quick to the footer. It's kind of a very similar scenario here. So we're gonna go, I see box, another group here, but I see 2 boxes on the inner. That's just a 2-column grid. The header essentially is duplicated down here for the most part. We can kind of steal what we've done in terms of this inner, and we can move it down. I'm just gonna copy that. And we have a footer inner already, but I'm gonna go ahead and let's see if we can paste that. Okay, this is gonna be nav wrapper, okay? Now I would not use the same classes. I'm just getting the HTML down here, and then I would obviously change these classes and redo the styling and all of that stuff. But why write the HTML all over again when essentially you have very similar things going on? The logo, a nav, etc. And like I could even come in here right away to this nav, and instead of label main, label footer, something like that for the ARIA label, right? Okay, so next thing we're gonna do, this inner right here, footer inner, this is gonna display grid template columns of grid 2, bang, and that's fantastic. We need another, so we have a heading, okay? It's time to support zero pollution, blah, 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 blah. I'm not gonna write that. We need a group in here for these little check mark icons. Where are we? Okay, so we got our inner, we got our heading, we got our text, which we actually don't need. And we can wrap in a div and then duplicate. There we go, perfect. Then this over here is gonna be something else, but this can be lorem 10. Okay, something like that in terms of the heading. And then we need a group underneath it. So inside of this div, which we're gonna call well, it's kind of all content, isn't it? Let's go heading wrapper again. So in the heading wrapper, we're gonna have a flex div, and that's gonna be what would you call these things? Talking points, talking point list. There's only 2 list items, talking point list, and then inside that, we're gonna need a talking point. Oh dear, I clicked the wrong thing. Inside of that, we're gonna need a talking point. Inside of that, we're gonna need a SVG, and we're gonna need a label, okay? Talking point list, talking point. That's gonna be label. That's gonna be icon, right click, create BEM classes, talking point list. That's not going to be an article this time, but I am going to convert this to list, okay? So we have that done right there. Let's display this as flex direction of row. We don't want to align items to the center, actually, not in these kinds of lists. This icon right here is going to be an inline size of 1em. So it's the same height as the text that belongs next to it with an aspect ratio of 1. And then in this talking point, we want the gap to be also M-based, something like 0.5, okay? And then we are going to essentially duplicate that talking point right there. So we have 2 of them. And the talking point list, you could display flex here, but I mean, let's see what would happen. Flex direction of row. How much of a problem is this gonna end up being? Okay, they should grow with their text. We also want this icon, very important, flex shrink of 0. Do not allow that icon to shrink any further, because sometimes in flex layouts, the more text you add, the icons will shrink. Lorem 10. That's why you don't want to align these to the center, by the way. I need to figure out why that's doing that. I think it could be just an align items to start. There we go. That's what it is. And then these icons need like a little bit of an offset, like translate 0, 1M. And then it's literally going to be like 0.25 M or something like, yeah, like what a fucking guess. What a guess. Kobe. Okay. Heading wrapper is good here. So footer, heading wrapper, and that is going to get gap of content gap. It's probably not, is it display flex? Display of flex direction of column, bang. Okay, this heading inner, what do we got in our inner? That needs content still, we'll put content in there. We got our nav wrapper down here and our inner, which are footer, a gap of container gap. Okay. Fantastic. What is supposed to go to the right? Okay, so that and a button. We can call this the content wrapper. Content wrapper, footer. Content wrapper, okay. And that's text and a button. And that is large text. And that is that a primary button? No, it's not. Let's remove that, okay? Button, neutral, light, okay? Button, neutral, light. Why did it look primary? No idea. We'll look at that in a minute. Okay, let's refresh. Hey, we got a footer. Let's go here. What buttons do I have turned on? Options. Neutral. Hey, it does help to turn on the neutral button with the light and dark variants and the outline variants. Let's go ahead and turn those on. We'll do colors real quick and then we'll do Q&A. I mean, we got most of the what I would do is a sprint to scaffold a landing page. That's essentially what we have accomplished, okay? That should be good there. That should be good there. Let's save. Let's do a little bit of a refresh here. Okay, button, neutral, light, button, neutral, light, button, neutral, light. Well, you know, that feels like it should look like a neutral button. Neutral, it doesn't. It does not want to be neutral. Okay, we'll have to investigate that further. This is gonna be a gap. I don't think I did display flex on these. Display, flex direction of column, gap of content gap. Save, okay. They didn't really do any work to align that, okay? All right, these would just be swapped out for checkboxes, obviously. This would be swapped out for the main logo. This would be swapped out with actual content. We can throw a little content in there here. Lorem 15, there you go. Fantastic. It's actually not large text. For some reason I thought it was large text, but it's really not. It's got more line height to it. Maybe the whole typography in general, like we go maybe like an 8 pixel, actually that's headings. Let's go to text and maybe we'll go more aggressive, like 10 pixels on our line height. And this is a nice little magic formula for line height. If you don't know what that is that you're looking at there. Okay, so we're gonna refresh. So now we've got our footer, it's gonna show up on every page. We got our header, it's gonna show up on every page. We just have some styling work left to do. We got our heroes scaffolded out. We've got some responsiveness left to do. We got this grid of cards with the border effect in there. all good to go. We got our services scaffolded out. We're auto counting our cards over here. This is what scaffolding looks like, right? Then you come back through when your brain is fresh. Now I move to something else. Now maybe I go write some emails. Now I go do something else, right? Get my brain reset, refreshed, come back, start doing some detail work, right? But I got, and the client's like, can I get an update on that landing page? You're like, yeah, bro, look at this. Not the finished product. We got a lot of scaffolding done. Versus, let's say you did all the detail work to just do this hero, and the client's like, what'd you do? And you're like, the hero, right? I mean, look, I got a lot of architecture done, which by the way, and here's the thing you have to understand as well. Because I'm building for scalability and maintainability and unbreakable scenarios, every bit of work that I do makes the rest of the project go faster. The speed is very slow initial, and then it exponentially gets faster because you start plugging in things that just already work into the areas that you're putting them into. And anytime you need to make a tweak and adjustment, you're making a tweak and adjustment to a component or to a BEM class that adjusts everything all at once. And so it's the opposite of what most people experience, which is, hey, Kevin, I can do it real quick in Elementor because I just style everything at the ID level. It's so quick. I don't have to do all that nonsense you're doing. And in that scenario, what people have to understand, initially it feels faster and it exponentially gets slower. And the problems get exponentially bigger as the project goes on. With my version, with actual fundamentals, the project as it goes on gets faster and easier. That is the huge difference, right? We got to understand that. Because everybody will talk about speed. They never talk about speed in the proper context. They talk about getting a landing page from point A to point B as if there's no rest of the site to build, right? And so in my scenario, everything gets faster and easier as we go. In their scenario, everything will get infinitely slower and harder, right? That is a huge distinction. Okay. All right. All right. What are we talking about here? Okay. Okay. So these adjustments, one, they can be argued about for sure till the end of time. But again, they are also very easy to make because I can come in here at any time and my H2s, these are like the benefit of transmutable elements, right? So let's say Amber comes along and she's like, that shouldn't be an H2, make it a paragraph or something. Okay, I can make it a paragraph. And then I just have to restyle it. But I don't have to like delete it, re-add the content, re-add the thing. And if I'm working in templates and I'm working in components, fixing in one place fixes in lots of places. So these things we can obviously argue about. And then if changes need to be made, they can easily be made. That's the point. No templates, no components, no BIM. You have these conversations, something has to change. You are in a world of hurt. And then you actually start making decisions based on how hard it's going to be to backtrack. Instead of what's the right way, how should it have been done? Now we're in the boardroom going, well, that's gonna be a lot of hours, Because there's a lot of instances of that thing. And it's like, why didn't you build it with components? Why didn't you build it with BEM? Why didn't you do it the right way? Then this wouldn't even be a conversation. If it needs to change, it changes. It's not expensive to change because it was built properly. Okay. Let's go Q&A. Let's go Q&A. Hashtag Q. There's my list. Okay. I will start at the top. What's your BIM naming strategy for card components when the design is shared across different use cases, e.g. services, blog, location, while still keeping the semantic HTML structure the same? So great question. This is the beauty of the card framework. You can name every card differently. Look at this. You can name every card differently. They can have different semantic structure if they need to, but look what they're allowed to share. They're allowed to share a bunch of styling. They're not forced to share it. They're allowed to share it. So look, I had 2 different cards that share all of this stuff right here. All of the spacing, the borders, the icons, the avatar, everything can be shared between light and dark. And then anything that I don't want to be shared, I can exclude from sharing. Okay, just simply by overriding the variable or zeroing out the variable, right? Because it's all done with 0 specificity. I'm never fighting with the card framework, right? I can always tweak what I need to tweak, adjust what I need to adjust. But now let's say a 3rd card comes into the mix. I literally just go, and now the 3rd card inherits all the shared card styling, right? Very, very powerful, big time saver. While not interfering with BEM, not interfering with components, it just gives you more benefit. It doesn't give you, there's no cost to doing it, right? No cost. Okay. Why can't the inner be the container and the content wrapper be a flex div? Not following the logic. I don't know what that means. It's really an irrelevant question. If I used an extra wrapper where you wouldn't use a wrapper, it's completely inconsequential to the end result. You now have a class called main hero. How do you go about having a main hero section on other pages which doesn't look the same, given the main hero class will apply to the whole site? It's called the main hero because it's the main hero on the main page, right? The heroes on a internal page would be called something different, maybe just hero. And they would probably be very consistent with each other. Hero, 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 homepage, main hero. If you don't like that naming convention or strategy, you can always use your own. That's the beauty of BEM. That's just how I do it, right? But you're asking essentially, is there a pathway for you to have more hero sections? 1,000%. I could name them whatever I wanted to, right? Creating a main hero doesn't mean I have to go use that on other pages just because I named it main hero. I called it main hero because it's on the main page, the home page, right? And whether that's used elsewhere is completely inconsequential to how it's named. Okay, how do you do multi-cursor editing? Very easy. So you select something that's gonna show up multiple times. Let's go to our template and go to our nav, right? So we have these main nav list item classes. See how it highlights all of them? What I do is I go Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D. It'll just select them. And now I'm actually editing them, right? I'm editing all of them at the exact same time. So instead of multi-selecting things on the canvas, which you will be able to do in the future, but even though you can't do that right now, you can do it in code. You could select all these LIs, for example, and then change their tag, right? So multi-cursor select is very, very, very valuable. What's the inverted radius framework called? Well, John, I'm glad you asked. It's called the inverted radius framework. Go to automatic CSS and do invert. There it is, right there. Look at that. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yeah, it's the inverted radius framework. And there's a very detailed documentation on how it worked. You saw me guess earlier because we try to name things like guessable, it should be kind of guessable. We don't abbreviate things for that reason because abbreviations create lots of problems. If anybody is creating a framework, and Tailwind is the biggest violator of this possible, but anybody that's creating a framework, if they're like, yeah, abbreviations are a great idea. No, they're not a great idea. Because not only do you have to remember the names of the utilities, you then have to keep track of which ones are abbreviated and which ones aren't, and what the abbreviations are. That's like 3 different layers of trying to remember. If I know the name of a utility in automatic CSS, then I know how to use the utility. Because it's not abbreviated, there's no other layers to know. It's literally just, do you know the name of the utility? Yes or no? Okay, please review that bottom right inverted radius thingamabob. Where did that come from? Okay, I just showed you it came from automatic CSS. I mean, that's it's just one of the utilities in automatic CSS that literally will save an hour of time. If you try to do inverted radius from scratch and you hadn't had a lot of experience with it, you could read the docs in automatic CSS, follow along, and probably get it working in 15, 20 minutes. Working from scratch, you could be 1 to 2 hours deep. You could be 1 to 2 hours deep figuring that shit out, even with AI. Even with AI. There's multiple ways to do it. They all have pros and cons. Okay, we chose the method we chose because it has the least cons and the most pros. It can be done with data attributes straight out of the gate. It's very flexible. It's very easy. It doesn't require SVGs. It doesn't require color matching. It doesn't require any nonsense. It doesn't clip anything. So you don't have to worry about content getting clipped in certain scenarios. There's a lot to think about because you literally could you could spend an hour implementing one inverted radius solution and then realize it has a negative, a con, that you didn't foresee and have to undo it all and redo it a different way, and that's another hour. Inverted radius is a bitch. It is not fun. It's great to have a framework to be like, and it just does it, okay? It's fantastic. Okay, let's see. What's your favorite unit to use with max width for fluid typography? Like if the client wants a heading to break on a particular word. There's no way to do it. You can't break on a particular word because there's, the only way to do it is to start using spans inside of the headings, which is gonna cause other complications. You tell the client, guy, it doesn't matter where it breaks. What you do is text wrap balance or text wrap pretty to avoid orphans. That's your one job in life, not just in development. Nobody wants orphans, okay? We want to solve the orphan crisis, both in real life and in development, right? If you have an orphan in development in your heading or your lead text or whatever, somebody should commit violence against you. I mean, that is a punishable with violence offense. And because it's just so easy to fix and avoid. Why are you letting that happen? Why are you letting that happen? But if the client's like, no, it has to break on this word. Nah, Jack, it doesn't. No, nobody cares. This is not our conversion rate's gonna drop. No, there's gonna be no consequence. So let's not worry about that. Now, orphans, not real ones, but in development are ugly, okay? Nobody wants those. So you do have to fix that, but that's fixed with one line of CSS and you're good to go. All right, let's move on. So we make all items that repeat a list. I mean, that's just what I do. If it's a list of items, I make it a list. There is, again, because as with everything in life, there's a fucking debate about it. And really, they told me semantically, you're listing things. There's a list, semantic tag called a lit. Let's just do it. Let's just do it and be done with it. And people are always like, I mean, that kind of list. Like, why? These are debates we don't really need to have. We just don't really need to have those debates. They say that screen reader users, here's the argument I've heard. Kevin, they tell me screen reader don't always want to know when something's a list. Well, I mean, I just put myself, I'm trying to navigate a website without my eyes. I'm trying to put myself in those shoes. I feel like I would want to know that a list of things is a list of things. And I also know that I don't think you can treat screen reader users, this is the biggest accessibility, like, just get on my nerves, that we pretend they're all the same. This monolith of screen reader users all prefer the same things. When does that happen in any part of life? No part of life does everybody in that group has the exact same preference. So you might say, well, I talked to Bob, Blind Bob said he doesn't like it when it announces a list. Okay. But the entire internet's not based on Blind Bob. The entire internet, again, we have a thing called a list. There's a semantic tag for a list. Use it, be done with it, and then everybody can argue about their preferences. I don't care. I'm doing the thing that's semantically accurate. Beyond that, everybody can debate till the end of time, and they will. They will debate until the end of time, okay? We don't have to involve ourselves in every nuance of every debate. There is objectively, though, a downside to not having semantic lists. So let's just have them. And if somebody doesn't prefer them, they can put up with it. It's fine. That's just life. You got to put up with certain things. Cannot please everybody. Cannot please everybody. Okay, Kevin, don't stress me with the quotation mark when writing the value of the attribute. The browser will add it for you. Can you test this in Etch? No, it will. It will. But you are in a scenario, right, where like this. I got two classes. Now we're going to need quotes, you know? I know with attributes, you know, you're not going to have multiple values, but my brain, again, this is an efficiency thing, mental efficiency. Quote, 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 quotes always work. Now, if we don't use quotes, we're in a scenario where, okay, yeah, that'll work here, but not over here. And see, I don't want to have to decipher that on the fly. So I just go quote, 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 because it always works, and I don't have to think about it anymore. So it's just a mental efficiency thing. If you auto-BEM and then add a new element, does auto-BEMing from parent a second time create any issues? Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I mean, it shouldn't. It should skip classes that already exist. But there's no point. There's no point. Like at that point, you go to the style manager and you start renaming from here because you can come, you made a mistake. You can come here, you can fix your mistake on all these classes right here. It groups them all together. You know, you can fix it there. So I wouldn't try to auto-BEM again. All right. Why not use Etch basic nav as a starting point? Because then I would have to go to the docs. I would have to get the code. I would have to come paste it in. It's not in here as an official element yet. And I didn't want to do that. And I just wanted to show if you don't need drop downs and all that stuff, you can quickly whip one up if you know what you're doing. So yeah. When is the Etch nav builder dropping? I mean, definitely at some point. Definitely. It's not going to be a nav builder. It's just going to be a nav element that has a lot of flexibility. In ACSS, where do you declare the exact values for your t-shirt size variables? Do they use clamp? Yes, everything uses clamp. Everything's automatically responsive. All the hard work is done for you. Typography is a base size and then a ratio scale. And so all of so M, medium, right, is the base size. And then up and down from there is 1.33 times 20. Or you can go down to 1.25. Look at it all. This is why I said you can adjust it at any time, right? You can adjust spacing the exact same way. So I go to spacing, standard spacing, base size, ratio. You can have a different ratio for desktop and mobile. Section spacing is separate because it's contextually different. You can go to your spacing here and go down to contextual, and you can see there's where my container gap, my content gap, my grid gap all come from, right? Here's where I turned on automatic spacing. You can opt out of automatic spacing if you want to opt out of it. You shouldn't. It's dumb. You should let it auto space because there's no downside. There's no cost. You can move these around. See, I can contextually change the spacing between content separately from everywhere else. This is the container gap between containers in sections. All of this stuff can be tweaked before, during, or after. It's very, very flexible. Can inverted radius be done with style queries rather than data attributes? Seems that there are a few things that CSS seems offloading from HTML concerning styling. There is the ability, what you would theoretically do if we went back to our homepage, right? So let's go back to our homepage. So let's say you stack this in a way where you don't need the inverted radius anymore. You can simply opt out of the inverted radius at that breakpoint. Okay, so you could display none the elements that are created to create the inverted radius and just get rid of them at that breakpoint. You could, it would be difficult. You could change them at different breakpoints. It's not as easy as adding them in the first place, but they are. I have done it before where I change them at different breakpoints. So you can get rid of them. You can change them, but they're pseudo elements, right? They're pseudo elements. So Yeah, it's CSS, HTML. There are situations where things are difficult. We just try to make them easier, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to be that we can just change how CSS and HTML work, you know? It's a complicated scenario. You have to know when you're going to use inverted radius, you are opting in for at least some degree of a shit show. It's just difficult to deal with. It creates limitations. Lots of things that you choose to do from a design standpoint are either going, like, go watch Nick Arce's video on those hover cards he was building for his homepage. The man spent like, I don't know what the end result was. It was like by the end of 9 hours, because he wanted this fancy hover, you click it, it transitions into a modal, and then it zooms back down. And I mean, 9-10 hours to get a little hover effect in a hero section or a click effect in a hero section. You just have to know that certain things come with certain costs, which is also why, if you're going to quote a custom website, this idea that, I mean, I'm just going to give a price for a homepage and a price for an about page. Okay, there can be a base price, but you have to have a discussion with the client. Like, how fucking fancy are we really going to go here? You know, how groundbreaking do you really want to be in terms of web design? And is that going to affect the bottom line? But if they are like, yeah, I really care about, like, I want this to be a showstopper. Okay, well, that price just went 5x, maybe 5x. Because if you're like Nick Arce doing that, we're going to run out of money on the hero section, my guy. Like, you know, this stuff has to be accounted for. There's no easy button for this. And this is, if you don't know how to do this stuff, this is why you're going to get replaced. Because all of the easy stuff AI will do, and there will still be a need for, this is just, AI can't do this. And even if AI could do it, the time to sit there and communicate it to AI and work in pieces that AI requires, and to make all the reprompt, reinstruction, reprompt, problem solve, you could have just done it from scratch. That's what people don't understand. As the complexity grows, AI becomes less and less useful. You must have somebody in the driver's seat who knows what they are doing, because there's no way around it. There is no match. Until AI can literally fucking matrix into your brain, like you can physically plug it in, and I know they're probably working on that, okay? Elon is probably doing that to somebody right now, okay? They got some, what was that CIA program where they were, what's it called? Man, this would be a great reference right now, and I didn't get enough sleep last night to make the reference. Somebody's going to help me out in the chat. Elon's probably got a whole slew of people that don't know they're under some test right now, you know, with chips in their brain. But until AI can plug into your brain and read your thoughts, you are stuck sitting there trying to communicate with it. And the amount of shit that you're going to have to type and retype and figure out as you go, trying to work with it, there's just no way around that. There's no way around that. And it's going to be, that alone in itself is going to be just as time consuming. The only things that it's quick at is the easy stuff, right? So again, but even this inverted radius situation, I mean, what? Tell me, just guess right now, how long, or go test this yourself, how long does the conversation have to be to get to this point with AI out of the box, right? And by the way, in a scalable, maintainable fashion, in accordance with the rest of your project, because it might spit back some fucking tailwind. And then you got to have well, we're not using tailwind for this project, right? We're using BEM, and then it's going to spit back some non-nested shit. And you're like, well, on this project, we're doing nesting. Projects have requirements. Projects need consistency. Projects need professionalism. You can't just plug in some random shit unless you're willing to take the time to tweak it. And by the time you do that, you could have just built it. You should just know what you're doing. You could have just built it in the first place the right way. There's no way around this stuff. Everybody wants to act like this is just fucking magic. This AI, you just click, 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 click. Oh, look, magic. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. Okay. We would have to do a follow-up to make it responsive because I'm about to hop off and figure out what new phone I'm about to buy for no reason whatsoever. That's 15 minutes until I find my marching orders for the next phone purchase, okay? So you know, we're gonna have to hold off on that. There it is. Okay, MK Ultra. Thank you, Paul. I knew somebody would rescue me. Elon's probably got some AI Ultra program right now. There's like 30 humans strapped to chairs, unconscious, chips in their brain, getting AI fed into their brain. Yeah, there's something going on behind the scenes. Okay. Let's see. I think there's 2 more questions and we got to get out of here. Let me go back. Let me filter back the questions real quick. I noticed that ACSS has a fonts tab in the typography section. I tried using them yesterday instead of adding font face in the ACSS SAS. Does that feature work now? Yes, it does. So what you're going to do is typography fonts, font 1. Let's say the font was enter, right? Then you're going to put in your font file path, put in the format, font style. What weight is this? Okay. If it's a variable font, we're going to go font type variable. And then you're going to get a couple extra little inputs here. You can customize all of that, then hit save, and that'll say enter after you save. And yeah, this, no more at font face. No, this does everything for you now. This does everything for you. And we fixed the issue where you have to name them separately. You can use shared names now. So that one can be enter. And this one, see how it goes, enter static. This one can be enter as well, but they can have different files going to different styles, right? Font weight, this one could be 700, whatever, you get the point, okay? So yeah, this works out of the box now. Fantastic. Some of us are only just leaving Chumville. How about a repeat using the style panel? And then we can see the CSS. The thing is here's the problem with style panels, okay? You take something like this, where we did inverted radius, or actually this counting cards, right here. This situation, good fucking luck. In any builder style panel, I don't care what it is, Webflow, fucking Webflow 9.0 is not gonna be able to do this, all right, easily. There are just situations you're going to run into where you literally, to do it right, have to write CSS. Because a UI for this is so tremendously difficult to, and it's just, style inputs are always going to have inherent limitations. The one thing that doesn't have any limitations whatsoever is CSS. And if you just get on the train of like, and I know it seems difficult and time consuming. What I would do, honestly, and this is gonna be the last question I answer, and then we're gonna get out of here. I would commit, it's like you're learning to type. And if I'm learning to type, what is the one thing I have to commit to? I have to say, Kevin, we are not going to look at the keyboard. Now, what if I was paid to type? It's a weird situation to be in. I don't know how to type, but I'm paid to type. Okay, all right, but let's say that exists. I gotta get my work done. I can't afford to not look at the keyboard ever because I got to get work done. So you know what I'm going to do? On the shit I'm getting paid for, I'll allow myself to look at the keyboard most of the time. Maybe every paragraph or two, I go, okay, I'm not going to look on this paragraph. At some point, I got to get practice in. I got to get better. But I am going to look a little bit because I got bills to pay, okay? But then on the weekends, I'm going to commit, hey, everything I do on the weekend, I'm not looking, right? So anything I do on the weekend, side projects, my own site, whatever, I'm not doing style panels. I'm gonna do all CSS for that. Because nobody's paying me on this project. This is a learning project. This is Kevin's getting better at his job project, right? Then I get back to client work on Monday, I might open the style panel a little bit. But I might also write some CSS. And the one thing in Etch that is fantastic is that anything you do happen to do over here shows up here. And they're bidirectionally synced back and forth, okay? Like imagine that I wanted to take this container right here, this content wrapper, okay? What is this? This is service section. So service section, content wrapper. Wanted to add a background color. So I go to color, background color, base, right? Now it's got base, but look, it wrote it for me down here. So one, I can see what it's doing, which inherently teaches me. And two, I'm free to change it wherever I want. I changed it here, but it's also changed here. There's no, what if I wanted to do neutral, ultra, light, okay? There's no cost to using this panel because I'm never dividing my styles. I never have some styles trapped here, some styles, nope, that's what other page builders do. That's not what Etch does. Etch is bidirectionally synced. So when you do use the style panel, there's no cost to doing it. The cost in a bricks or an element or a, can you even write CSS in Divi? I guess you can. Divi or Beaver, right? You use their style panel a little bit, you use CSS a little bit. Oh boy, there's a big cost to that because you've now separated. Now you're gonna play the game of where's the style coming from? And now you're hunting in panels. Ah, shit, it's not in that panel. Let me check in this panel. Like, oh my gosh. The games we don't want to play. The games we do not want to play. No games in Etch. Etch, you don't play games. You get work done. That's what you do. You don't click through 8,000 panels. The panels that you need are right there. They're just sitting right there. Which, by the way, if you need more of them or less of them, you can get them at any time. Wow. Fantastic. I can even put my structure panel in my style panel, essentially. Look at that. I could see both at the same time. I can go, I want more real estate there. Oh, I want this one on top and this one down below. Look at that. Okay, I can still scroll in there. Wow, right? We're not playing the game of open, close, cover this up, don't cover that up. No. Everything is available at all times. The amount of click reduction that we have done is tremendous. Just in that alone, you will probably pay for Etch alone in the amount of clicks you are going to save versus other interfaces, right? It's phenomenal. Can't be discounted. Can't be discounted. All right, I got 5 minutes until I get my buying instructions on my next Apple device. So I'm one of those guys. It's just, I have to go get I'm being called right now to go get my marching orders from the Apple, from the Apple organization. So I do love you guys. I appreciate the support. Hopefully you're entertained. Keep in mind that this is one workflow. This is a from scratch workflow. You don't have to build everything from scratch in Etch. I'll just repeat these things over and over again for the people that have critical thinking issues. You will have an entire library of frames. You can go paste, and then just style it up and then ship it out and cash another check. If that's how you prefer to work, which that's how I prefer to work for a lot of areas of websites, right? You can absolutely do that. If you want to steal HTML from somewhere and CSS from somewhere, you could steal the HTML right now. You'll be able to steal the CSS very soon. If you want to use Tailwind and Tailwind libraries, you're going to be able to use Tailwind in Etch, okay? We're actually going to make that native probably. So you can just essentially opt into using Tailwind. Then all the Tailwind layouts become, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. I really still think Tailwind is a fad. I really still think it's not great. In VS Code, okay, like whatever. But page builders have an inherent block to Tailwind. Even if they're like Etch, even if they are super powered like Etch, they have inherent blocks to what is required to really use Tailwind efficiently. And I think it's just a bad idea. It's just a really bad idea. We can get into that later though. But even though, here's how reasonable I am. Even though I think it's a really bad idea, you'll be able to do it. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna block you. I'm like, no, you can't do it. No, I'm not the dictator of Etch. It's just, I really think it's a bad idea. And I'm going to tell you that it's a bad idea. But, okay. That's it. See you guys. Hope you had fun. Hope you learned something. Hope you had fun.